in 1945. It was for heroism above and beyond the call of duty during the Battle of Iwo Jima. Williams was America's last surviving World War II Medal of Honor recipient. And thank you so much for joining me this evening. Don't forget our 4th of July celebration here on CNN tomorrow night, starting at 7 o'clock. I'm Ryan Nobles. Watergate, Blueprint for Scandal is next. Have yourself a very fun and safe 4th of July.
Quest's World of Wonder, in association with Turkish Airlines.
Hello. Gorgeous. This is what a vacation looks like. Everyone has a good time. And it's not even 8 o'clock. The sun is shining, the weather is glorious, and only 10 minutes ago it was pouring with rain. I've been to Dublin lots of times over the years, and like others, I have some preconceived ideas of the traditions and the cliches. I'm really looking forward, though, to this visit, because I've heard there's a new spirit in Dublin. I love the way Dublin is so walkable. Follow the river and I can't go wrong. Dublin has changed so much since it was unleashed as the Celtic tiger on the rest of Europe. Now, like the rest of the world, Dublin, indeed Ireland, gingerly searches for its post-pandemic purpose. Standing on the river, you can see the old and the new. The traditional Dublin over there with the customs house and the new towers of finance and the cranes showing getting even larger. And hold on to your hat with that breeze coming in. The weather is about to turn nasty, and I shall take refuge in a pub, of which, of course, there are many. Actually, it's not just any pub. The Cobblestone. They call themselves a drinking pub with a music problem. Thomas Mulligan and the family have been mine hosts since 1987.
My dad came in here and there was a very rough clientele that was in here at the time. You know, it was an early house. So that means that people that would have been working night shifts would have come in right after they were finished work, delirious with the tiredness, and then started a day's drinking on top of that. And after a while, he just decided he wanted to completely overhaul that and get music playing every day of the week.
Of the hundreds of public houses in Dublin, I've chosen the Cobblestone because it's the home of traditional Irish music, and it's just won a legal battle to survive.
Believe it or not, you know, this being the nation's capital, this being the thing that we are famous for is our music. There's not many places that you can actually go and engage with that aspect of our culture here on a daily basis.
Oh, please don't start the fun. I be getting so much done.
We like people to leave this place in a better state than they came into it.
There are ways that can be enhanced.
There are indeed, but there's plenty of people who come in here and not even take a drink, you know, and that's what's special about this place.
She was running wild. She said, as long as there's no place, I love I'll stay.
look deep into the faces of these musicians, the rhapsody of the music that they are creating, and of course I want to have a go. But which instrument to play?
Now, and you should take this with you everywhere you go in Ireland. It'll guarantee you'll get kicked out of every pub you go into.
So is it held that way?
And that's not for me to teach you. That's for Keane, our professional Bowron teacher. He'll teach you everything about it. He's going to teach me about it because I'm looking to learn. I'm looking to improve on my rhythm a bit. So we'll go into it.
My rhythm is non-existent.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Yeah, and hitting it hardest on the 1. Down, up, down, click.
1,
2, 3, 4. Ooh, whoops! Like watermelon, watermelon, watermelon is an easy way to remember it. So for jigs, it's rashers and sausages. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like,
Sorry, where did rashers, sausages and watermelon come into
It doesn't
this?
matter. Getting there.
Rashers and sausages. Rashers and sausages. I love music, but I can neither sing nor play any instrument. And yet that won't stop me joining in on the Bowron, because that's what this place is all about. It's infectious. It's what the locals here describe as a bit of the crack.
Spelled C-R-A-I-C, and it's just, it's a feeling, you know, the crack being 90, the crack is flying, the pints are flying, it's a buzz, right? It's a buzz, it's a feeling, you can feel it in the cockles of your spirit, you can feel it in your bones, in the marrow. It's just, it's electric, right? I've walked into the pub and I feel like the chairs and tables are like levitating about an inch off the ground, you know, that something's about to kick off here and it's going to be great.
$300 million years ago, there was no Africa, Asia, Americas, or Europe. Just one big supercontinent, Pangaea. And today, there is still a force connecting those divided by distance, reversing millions of years of rifting. Making far feel close, bringing there to here. Turkish Airlines.
We're here now at the home of one of the FSB team, and my name's Clarissa Ward. I work for CNN. Was it your team that poisoned Navalny?
It's just been a chaotic scene here. People are so exhausted. Just gonna help her carry this bag.
We were just in the hospital. It was shocking. Why do you think India has been hit so badly?
Scores of Taliban fighters, and just behind us, the U.S. Embassy.
Why does a small group of women asking for their right to be educated threaten you so much?
Raise your hand if you love school.
I'm the one who has to look them in the eye. Can I have your word? These people are depending on you.
You can hear gunshots every couple minutes.
Now they're pressing in. They want desperately to tell their story.
I'm an early riser at the best of times. Getting up with the sun is part of my life. Some people sleep in. I get up and get out.
Hello, you made it. So this is the 40-foot.
The 40-foot.
You have a lovely sign as well.
But even for this early riser, the prospect of swimming Dublin's 40-foot is daunting. There'll be none of that. Instead, I'll be swimming with a group called the Ripple Effect. Gosh, you look like you do this regularly.
Every day.
Every day? A wonderful, gregarious bunch of early risers who come here to meet, swim and breakfast, come rain or shine. Why is it called the 40-foot? No one seems to agree, and it doesn't matter anyway. It's the people and that crack again that I've come for. Right. Am I committing a dreadful mistake? An etiquette mistake with my dry road?
No, you're grand.
I'm not going to have stones thrown at me. You city types with your dry roads.
No, it's absolutely necessary.
I know it's going to be very cold. I know it'll be good fun. I know it'll be very cold. I know I'll just have to stay in there for the minimum amount of time to make it decent. And these people do it every day. I mean, they do it every day.
Good gosh.
I just... If I keep moving, I can still feel my fingers and toes. And in time, of course, those endorphins kick in, which is what this is all about.
Warmer over here.
Warmer is a relative concept in this case. Well, after a few seconds, a few moments, it's most enjoyable.
That was lovely.
But when you start to feel the tingling in the ends of your fingers, I think that's usually a good sign. It's time to get out.
Sign, definitely a sign to get out, yeah.
Problem, my love.
But now, of course, the body is warm and oh.
You okay?
I did think I was having a heart attack when I went in there.
Welcome to Dublin.
Yay!
We did it.
What a great way to start the day. I mean, amazing way. This is Ireland, and with true hospitality, of course, someone's brought coffee, freshly baked chocolate chip cookies. These are excellent. What a day. Why do you all do it?
Look what we're all doing now. We're all laughing, we're all chatting, we're all connecting.
Community, we're all reverberating off one another. Interacting, laughing, lifting one another up.
During lockdown, a lot of people couldn't meet indoors, so a lot of people started connecting outside, and this was just a nice place for people to come, and people rediscovered the sea, and it's just been really nice to do it.
Recharge, that's the word.
I think we've tapped into this in the last 2 years, in the 2 years that have just passed. We've seen the need to enhance our mental well-being. In fact, I would accredit it to saving my life to a degree.
Jonathan is a 40-footer who owns this amazing cafe where he insists we repair for breakfast, and he won't let me pay. I understand now why they call themselves the Ripple Effect.
I think the ripple effect is an Irish thing. It has a part of our history. You know, everyone's there to support each other, whether we go through hard times, good times. You know, everyone is there to really, really support each other.
One word that describes Ireland and the people.
Heart is the biggest thing. Heart is the biggest thing. Everyone wants to love, and that's what people love to do. And everyone's seeking love. And I think that's what Ireland is.
For most of the city, the day has barely begun. For me, as the blood starts flowing again, I can't help feeling I've already enjoyed the best bit. And it's not even 8 a.m.
$300 million years ago, there was no Africa, Asia, Americas, or Europe. Just one big supercontinent, Pangaea. And today, there is still a force connecting those divided by distance, reversing millions of years of rifting. Making far feel close, bringing there to here. Turkish Airlines.
I would describe One World as compelling, inclusive, and original.
One World with Zain Asher, tonight on CNN.
Modernity and transformation has altered much here, but it hasn't changed those parts of Dublin life that makes this city what it is, and the institutions upon whose history it grew and still rests.
The oldest surviving Irish harp and the model for the insignia of Ireland.
In Irish literature, there's none greater than James Joyce.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you, sir.
Your breakfast is ready.
John Shevlin is a very good James Joyce lookalike.
The only thing we're missing here are the kidneys.
This breakfast is the classic from Joyce's Ulysses, that weighty tome that mimics the Odyssey through one man's day in Dublin.
Joyce himself said that people for decades will be trying to find out what I meant.
Walking the streets with one of Ireland's national treasures helps me decipher what it feels to be a Dubliner.
Do you enjoy doing James Joyce? I do, absolutely. And it's amazing the people I meet. Incredible. They all join in with the crack, the fun. Crack is fun.
I certainly feel appropriate with you in this outfit. You set the tone. There's that word again, the crack. The fun, the spirit. It's everywhere here, drawing the eras together, and in historic terms, that means into battle. The Irish have had to defend themselves from foreign invaders and marauders since the Middle Ages. Medieval armoured combat Ireland. It's the modern-day incarnation of all of that. There's no impersonators here playing dress-up. No pulling of punches or dummy attacks. These are true weekend warriors swinging real steel axes and swords with all the force man can muster. It is both terrifying and tremendous.
The proudest moments in my life have been the fact that I've got to represent my country at a world championship in a sport most people have never heard of.
I don't know whether I can even stand up now. I'm sort of getting a bit frightened at the sheer weight of the thing, let alone grabbing one of these swords, which are bloody heavy. Within the confines of basic rules, this is for real.
Ow!
He really is hitting me with a sword.
Doesn't hurt at all, but all of a sudden you feel a hit on your head.
Once more, my dear friends, into the breach.
You ready?
No.
Fighters ready? Fight!
Fight!
Good defense. Swing it. Hit him.
While there's great historical accuracy to the armor and the weaponry, this is not a reenactment of famous battles. Rather, it is a sport where you fight to win.
Time.
What's that smell of burning?
That's sparks. It's like gunpowdery smell.
Yeah.
That's sparks coming off the swords, the armor.
Yeah, I thought I was on fire.
Oh, you were getting into it.
Right. We're not doing that again. There's an inherent contradiction, isn't there? The most friendly people in the world then go and beat the bejeebers out of each other.
Well, and you can see that in the fighting here, when people are knocking seven shades out of each other, and then they take the helmets off and they're grinning and they're hugging each other. So I think it's working out your aggression in the right direction, and then it's done and it's over with. And I think if more people were getting all their aggression and anger out in that way, we'd be in a much better place. You didn't fall over and you didn't drop the sword. That's a win in my books for the first time. A well-deserved winner.
Give me one word that you think best describes Ireland and the Irish.
I think the word would be heart. And there's lots of different ways you could interpret it, and it's heart. Whether it's bringing people in and accepting them or being proud of ourselves, it's all about heart.
Ah, that Irish heart, it keeps beating throughout, from intrepid swimmers to these brave knights. I would gladly march into battle with them, if I can keep up.
This is a really important story.
My name's Clarissa Ward. I work for CNN.
Assalamu alaikum.
Day in, day out, you see the reality of people living through this.
Ничего страшного.
Okay.
This is the front line.
On a human level, you find courage, sacrifice. This is what life is about.
A lot of people are wondering why.
You see the worst of humanity.
Putin might use a nuclear weapon. Absolutely terrifying.
But you also see the best of humanity. My job is to be present.
The human cost is right here.
And to tell these stories.
We're talking about families.
That is the most important thing.
I'm Clarissa Ward in Ukraine.
This is
CNN.
Dublin is amazing, but if I only see Ireland's capital, I am a fool and have cheated myself. I am forgoing the dramatic cliffs of the west and heading further south, instead to where the wild Atlantic Way actually starts. Cork, a place that considers itself the real capital of the Republic. Ireland boasts of its fresh foods, and the English market, which has been here since 1788, is freshness central.
Well, you'll find there's a bit of every animal in this market, right? And I guarantee, Richard, if you stand around long enough, someone's going to take a nibble off you, all right?
Patrick Fitzpatrick is with me. He's the comedian, actor, author, and Cork native. And he's figured out how to win me over.
But you have to actually experience things like custard slices.
Oh, I love a custard slice. Oh.
Custard ice cream in a cake.
Thank you very much. I come here for the fresh food. The quality of this is just superb. I linger because of the welcome.
Morning, sir. How are you? Excellent. Good. How long does this keep if you don't have it in the fridge?
You don't have it in the fridge, depends what temperature actually you do have it in.
What's different about Cork compared to Dublin?
We have a much lower opinion of ourselves, but we pretend otherwise. So we have both an inferiority complex and a superiority complex in Cork. Cork, classic second city. It's about a tenth of the size, population-wise, of Dublin. It's got a grudge. It's got a chip on both shoulders. It's got the notion that it's the real Ireland. So, and I think there's a bit of truth in that, to the extent that if you go to Dublin now, it can feel like a small London. Whereas this feels like a big town, a big Irish town.
The English market was merely the hors d'oeuvre. The main course is 20 minutes up the road. Blarney Castle and its famous stone, which legend says bestows the gift of the gab on those who kiss it.
So the question is, are you going to kiss the Blarney Stone?
I never have.
Why not?
I'm 55 and I never have, and I grew up within 10 kilometres. Well, because it's a tourist thing.
In case you hadn't noticed, we're tourists. Part of me thinks of the 40,000 people who've kissed it in the last 48 hours.
What do you know about them, you know? I don't mind kissing people, but I'd like to at least meet them first, maybe buy a drink.
My ignorance, I'd always thought the Blarney Stone was a rock on a cliff overlooking the ocean. It's not. It's a rock in the wall at the top of a castle.
Oh, look at that.
Whoa. Well, I'm kissing. I think I'm kissing.
Oh.
Well, you're really out to make an impression, aren't you?
That's it.
How are you with heights?
Oh, I'm fine on that. I hope you're aware that the walk to the top of the castle is arduous.
I don't know, one of us isn't going to make this.
They weren't wrong. Arduous indeed, with titillating moments along the way.
Magnificent views. Look at that. My God, it's straight down, isn't it? It is nearly... Oh, no, there's more steps.
Oh, good. Good. I was hoping there'd be more stairs.
Somebody died doing this. Before they put
Now you tell us.
No, before they put the railings in. That's a cheerful thought, isn't it?
You don't just pucker up and lean in. Oh, no. Kissing the Blarney Stone is a business in itself.
Right, that's the stone. OK, here we go.
And they have it down to a fine art with plenty of help.
Way back. Hold the two bars behind you. Bend your head down. Watch your head now. It's down here.
Oh, it won't work if you don't kiss the shiny bit. Do you have your eyes open or do you close your eyes when you kiss?
It's whether you use the tongue or not that's the real...
Oh, did you? Because I want to know, because I'm next.
How many people today?
550 people kissed it.
550 people.
Actually, the amount of disinfectant on that stone wiped after each kiss. No virus would dare go anywhere near it.
That was a lot of fun. Oh, I've got the gift of the gab. Now I can talk my way out of anything.
Is there another way out of here? Because I don't want to...
Talking forever. Well, we've done it. We kissed the Blarney Stone and now look what happened.
Well, next time we'll pay, OK? We'll pay our way.
I have enjoyed my visit to Dublin and Ireland more than I was expecting. Perhaps in this post-pandemic world, there's even more generosity, hospitality and kindness, if that were possible. And the word that pulls it all together, well, you know what it has to be, the crack. That ubiquitous Irish word that serves all occasions. Where's the crack? What's the crack? The mighty crack. Well, you'll want to come here and experience the crack for yourself. Dublin and Ireland, no doubt part of our world of wonder.
Quest's World of Wonder, in association with Turkish Airlines.
Our mission here at CNN and journalists, the news comes first. That's when your heart beats a little bit faster.
More breaking news that we are following right now.
You really work as hard as you can, getting the facts.
We're learning more about our lead plot.
It is critically important.
To our viewers in the United States and around the world, welcome to the situation where we have breaking news.
You can help the refugees from Ukraine. Join the over 80,000 who've already raised millions for food, shelter, and more. Explore cnn.com/impact. Click to take action.
Business is all about making connections. But some connections are easier to make than others. With a CNN partner hotel, the world is always at your fingertips. CNN partner hotels, connected to your world.
I'm Nick Watt in Los Angeles, and this is CNN.
Call to Earth, in partnership with Rolex and their Perpetual Planet Initiative.
Across our planet, remarkable journeys are being made. From the tiniest warbler to the mightiest whale shark, nature is on the move.
Without movement, there's very little life.
It's a phenomenon closely studied by conservationist and bird lover Patricia Zurita.
The migration is mind-blowing. Just imagine something as small as a hummingbird crossing the Gulf of Mexico, or flocks of flamingos crossing over the Mediterranean. It's incredible.
She is the CEO of BirdLife International, and a huge part of her work is protecting migration pathways. As our guest editor for this show, Zurita has selected 4 conservation corridors under threat.
We're losing nature faster than we have ever seen in the history of the planet. And we are not ringing the alarm bells. For whatever reason, we're not reacting. You have mammals migrating, you have sharks migrating, you have bees and insects migrating. It is part of the system, it's part of maintaining the balance.
I'm Bill Weir, and this is Call to Earth, protecting nature's highways.
Birds are magical. The mere fact that they can fly, and the fact that there's 11,000 species in all types of shapes and sizes, what's not to love about them?
Patricia Zurita's obsession with birds began as a student in her home country of Ecuador. Today, she's working in the Doñana National Park with SEO, one of BirdLife International's 115 global partners.
We are in the southern part of Spain. It's one of the most important wetlands in the whole of Europe, and it's truly a safe haven for birds.
They are monitoring avian populations.
Really exciting to see these tiny little things.
Catching birds to check their health, measure them, then they tag them before setting them free.
So this is a garden warbler that came from sub-Saharan Africa. Go to Europe.
The majority of migrating birds travel along the world's 8 major flyways, and one of those routes passes over Doñana.
You have 2 billion birds using the Africa-Eurasia flyway that goes from Southern Africa all the way up to Europe and Asia. 2 billion birds. Can you imagine that? I mean, these are highways that are being used by these birds every single autumn and every single spring because they need to find safer places to nest and warmer places to winter.
The Spanish wetlands are the perfect place to take a break.
This is the pit stop. Doñana is the place where you fuel up. This is that piece of the jigsaw puzzle that makes everything work.
But in recent years, something has stopped working. Mass-scale monoculture of berries, which requires vast quantities of water in a region low on rain and economic opportunity. To support production and their livelihoods, farmers are sucking dry the aquifer, which is the underground water source sustaining the wetlands.
You have rows and rows and rows of strawberries. Yes, all of them look incredibly delicious, but it's like a moonscape. This is not nature. Something is completely out of balance. Over the last couple of years, the replenishment of the aquifer is not happening to the same levels that they were having in the past.
Farmers say new weather systems are to blame.
What is impacting the aquifer is climate change and drought. Those of us who are currently extracting water continue to extract the same amount of water we have always done.
But BirdLife International is concerned it's because of intensive agriculture as well as climate change.
That is going to completely destroy one of the most important wetlands for the Africa-Eurasia flyway. We are seeing populations of birds not being able to breed anymore. Zero breeding for the last years, for whisker terns, for example. They used to have thousands of babies here 5 years ago. That's not happening anymore. It's like you're having your car, okay? You're going in this very long journey in the highway, and then suddenly the petrol station doesn't have any petrol. You're doomed.
According to BirdLife International, the solution can be found in sustainable farming. A few miles down the road, a family-owned vineyard is making a living that doesn't cost the earth or the aquifer.
There's no irrigation lines here. They don't need harmful pesticides, and they are producing this amazing product that is actually economically viable for the local producers, and is the home of these amazing migrant birds that are coming from Africa.
Knowing how crucial this area is to bird migration distills Zorita's desire to protect it, and many other sites like it.
Work like the one that we do in Doñana is replicated all over the world. These amazing places can recover, that the minute that you give nature a chance, it bounces back, that we just have to give it a chance. I just hope that it's not going to be too late.
Coming up, from flyways to swimways, nature's highways are as important in the ocean as they are in the sky.
Explorers, adventurers, scientists, the ones who always broadened our horizons. We were at their side when they reached the deepest point in the oceans, the highest summits of the Earth, and both poles. We may think we've seen it all, that the world has its limits after all. But why do explorers, adventurers, scientists continue to venture out there again and again? Certainly not just for the record. So what do they seek, really? To understand more intimately how complex and delicate our planet is, to document its change and how we can affect it for the better. As long as they need it, we will be at their side. Because today, the real discovery is not so much about finding new lands, it's about looking with new eyes at the marvels of our planet, rekindling our sense of wonder and acting here and now to preserve this pale blue dot and make it perpetual.
Spanning over 600 miles along the coast of Central America, the Mesoamerican Reef is the largest barrier reef in the Western Hemisphere. And this Caribbean paradise is where shark expert and marine conservationist Rachel Graham focuses most of her work.
When I roll back from the boat and I'm going diving, I immediately enter my happy place.
Beneath the tranquil surface, it's rush hour for marine megafauna, such as sharks, turtles, and rays.
I like to compare a lot of marine species to us. Do we want to stay in our house all the time? We have to go out and we have to seek food. We have to go and maybe seek a mate. Sharks, rays, finfish, groupers, they're exactly the same. Where they eat is not necessarily where they rest. Where they rest is not necessarily where they reproduce.
The reef acts as a natural GPS for species on the move.
The reef itself almost creates a barrier which creates a highway for animals to guide and navigate by.
But when they're traveling, species are at their most vulnerable. The busy corridor makes them an easy target for fishers.
Because they're predictable in their migratory nature and they get intercepted as they move from site 1 to site 2.
Graham's nonprofit, Mar Alliance, seeks to protect all marine life using the highway, but she throws the most weight behind the fiercest of ocean predators.
Sharks really do have a bad rap, I have to say. And this is one of the things that we absolutely love to dispel.
Researchers estimate that while sharks kill 10 or fewer humans a year worldwide, humans are killing 100 million sharks in the same time, primarily for consumption in shark fin soup, a popular dish in China and Southeast Asia.
The primary threat to sharks is unquestionably overfishing. What we're seeing is a highly threatened set of species, and they're so critical to the health of our oceans, primarily because they help regulate a range of other species that they feed on. So they keep their populations in check.
At the Lighthouse Atoll, 50 miles east of the coast of Belize, Mar Alliance is conducting long-term monitoring to assess the damage caused by overfishing. Rather than acting in opposition with the local fishing community, Graham likes to bring them on board.
They are the ones who are on the sea every single day. They have PhDs of the sea. And they are also the ones who are going to decide the long-term fate of sharks and of fish.
Graham is working with fishers to tag sharks as a method of gauging population levels. Together, they've learned that more sharks in the ocean means more fish of all varieties.
To all my fellow fishermen, I want to give you this message. Conserve sharks, because in the future, sharks can provide us with an income. Not being dead or by fishing them, but being alive.
Which benefits the daily catch and also brings opportunities for ecotourism to the region.
We try to work with them to find these alternatives where you decrease the fishing effort on sharks and they find supplementary income somewhere else.
The adaptations made by the fishing communities have had an impact.
What we're seeing now is nothing less than miraculous. We are seeing a comeback of sharks. We can say we've seen a 10-fold increase in sharks. That means we'll be reversing the decline in a range of other species that tend to be associated with sharks and their critical habitats. So it's a win-win strategy for everybody across the board.
Finding economic alternatives to harmful fishing practices, particularly in marine corridors, is a subject close to the heart of our guest editor and CEO of BirdLife International, Patricia Zarita.
The most important thing is that Rachel is teaching and working with these communities to protect their long-term gains. It's about shifting the mentality of having short-term gains that are going to completely destroy the reef and they're going to have to leave because there's no living from there, to thinking about long-term and sustainable use that is going to allow them to be benefiting from the reef in the long run.
Coming up next, one of Canada's crucial natural highways intersects with a major man-made highway. How to help wildlife cross one of the world's longest roads.
Heard it all before? But have you heard it like this?
The ultimate disruptor looks set to shake up our world. What's really going on?
Fast-paced news, in-depth reports, and fact checks from the perspective of The Global Brief with Bianca Nobilo. Tonight on CNN.
This is CNN. More people get their news from CNN than any other news source.
I'm Will Ripley in Taipei, Taiwan, and this is CNN.
This is Canada's oldest national park, visited by more than 4 million people every year for its amazing mountains and breathtaking natural beauty. But there is a scar running through it, the Trans-Canada Highway.
It's the biggest highway in Canada, and it goes from coast to coast. And here in this valley, it happens to cut a national park in half.
This and other roads in the region make it almost impossible for animals trying to move through their territory. But despite the risks, they will keep trying.
It represents a real barrier for all sorts of different wildlife, from big wildlife like grizzly bears and wolves to smaller wildlife that really over the long term need to be connected across this valley in order to sustain their genetics, find the resources they need, and maintain healthy populations.
Jody Hilty is president and chief scientist of Y2Y, a conservation initiative out to expand habitat from Yellowstone to the Yukon.
The vision is about connecting and protecting this region from Wyoming all the way up to the Arctic Circle in the Yukon so that both people and nature can thrive.
Preventing road collisions is a #1 priority in maintaining wildlife connectivity.
The Trans-Canada Highway today has about 22,000 cars per day. And so for wildlife that are looking to get across this highway, they either approach and turn around because it's just too scary with all those cars, or they approach and often get hit on that highway. So, and for humans, it can be a disaster. Who wants to have an elk land in your lap when you're going 110 kilometers an hour?
But disaster can be averted in the form of wildlife crossings, bridges like this one, and underpasses too can offer a lifeline.
Today there are 117 crossing structures. This new overpass outside of Canmore will be the 118th structure.
Fencing along the side of the road funnels animals towards the crossing.
It's not something that we put it up tomorrow and the next day wildlife are using them, but it's something that takes a little bit of time. You actually see, for some animals like grizzly bears, they're teaching their young where these structures are.
A few miles away, a wildlife ecologist for Parks Canada is making sure animals are finding their way to the safety of the crossings. Jesse Whittington is checking footage from a camera trap.
Candid camera shots of wildlife just living their lives without being influenced by our activities. You just never know what you're going to find. The wolf that we just detected on this camera can easily be at our nearest underpass in 20 minutes, and I'll be curious to see if this animal shows up there. We've been monitoring wildlife use of these wildlife crossing structures since 1996. So in that time, we've documented over 187,000 wildlife crossings. That's a sign that these crossing structures work. It has reduced wildlife mortality by 96% for elk and deer and over 80% for carnivores like wolves and grizzly bears. So not only do these animals live, it improves connectivity throughout the landscape.
For Jody Hilty, connecting the dots for wildlife means that crossings like this need to be extended across the globe.
We need to get to a point where when roads become busier, it becomes part of normal societal practice that we create safe passage for wildlife across roads.
Industrial growth doesn't have to conflict with the health of our planet. says our guest editor and CEO of BirdLife International, Patricia Zarita.
The conservation community is not against development. What we are after is thinking development as humans being part of a wider system species. Like these roads, we want to connect ourselves. We want to be able to travel from one place to the other. But what we want is to make sure that we're planning this in a way that is allowing us to maintain the mobility of these species that have been using these routes longer than us.
Up next, from the bears to the bees, even the smallest of species need to get around.
Our mission is to see this young generation of leaders growing up make change in the world. My name is Edlira Debrane, and I'm the communications officer of Finnish School of Kosovo here in Kosovo, Europe. We created a wall of freedom, which is still in our halls. We organized a bake sale where we collected over 500 euros, which are going to be donated to an organization against domestic violence. I would say the one that we are most proud of is the Set in Stone Garden. For over a month, each student gathered rocks. We took these rocks, we wrote down our vows and pledges to end modern-day slavery, and then we took all those rocks outside in the middle of our schoolyard, and we spelled out My Freedom Day. So we had this really cool shot where everybody was shouting out My Freedom Day, sort of like a symbolic way to say that our pledges are actually set in stone and they will remain there forever. This, I believe, has made a very long-lasting impact on them, and it's something that they have vowed to actually take on in the following months. You'll see them around the school still doing other things for My Freedom Day.
Pollinators are really important to us as human beings because they provide a lot of the food we eat. Our shelves would be very empty in the supermarkets if we didn't have pollinators. They're also really important for beauty. Walking through the countryside, imagine hearing a silent countryside without the hum of insects, sitting down in a meadow and listening to that buzz.
Since growing up on a farm in the UK's West Midlands, Kate Jones has noticed that problems for insects have magnified.
Pollinators are in trouble, and I suppose the top issues that they're facing are habitat loss and degradation, climate change, pesticides and chemicals. So they're facing quite a cocktail of threats. The biomass of insects is reducing, and you'll often hear people talking about, oh, back in my day when I used to drive the car, I'd be wiping the insects off my screen, and that has stopped happening.
Hi, Kate.
Hi, Patricia. How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Knowing the relationship between species health and our own survival is another motivator for our guest editor, Patricia Zarita, as she sets out to protect nature's highways.
So this is an amazing, beautiful example of a really traditional hay meadow field system that's just packed full of wildflowers.
You have all of these pollinators coming in and to this safe haven, and then going into the crops and pollinating what ends up being our food later.
Yeah, exactly. So it's why it's our responsibility to make sure that they can move outside of these areas.
BugLife, a British conservation charity, has recorded a nearly 60% decline in flying insects in just the last 17 years in the UK.
Urban sprawl, agricultural intensification has left our countryside and our landscape quite a hard environment to move around. It's very energy costing to fly if you're a bumblebee, and you need regular pit stops, you need regular fuel stops, so you need your nectar-rich flowers. So if they come across an intensively farmed area that hasn't worked in any provision for habitat or